Shel from Paper Octio Studios, and today is November 24th, and I'm bringing you another NaNoJouMo art journal page in my jelly printed homemade journal. I'm starting out with some heavy bodied acrylic paints from Liquitex and Artist Loft, and I've got Mars Black, Titanium White, Iron Oxide, and Sienna. And then I have a stamp with just squares on it, and it's from Stampin' Up. And I'm going to use it to build a block wall. Yesterday, the prompt was wall or walls, but I didn't make a page yesterday because life was crazy. I didn't have a chance. There was a bunch of negative stuff going on, and I didn't really feel the whole art thing. My creativity and ability to do art is directly related to how I feel emotionally, and so it was not a good day. It was a terrible day, so I didn't make it. So I'm combining walls from yesterday with today, which is Zentangle/patterns. Now, I don't profess to be a Zentangle person. I've never taken a class. I know that there are people who are teaching it, and you can be certified in it, and I don't know that much about it. So I'm going to tell you now I don't. So I'm going to say that this is Zentangle-inspired because I've seen pictures of what people have made doing Zentangling, and so I'm just kind of basically doodling. And that's all there is to it. So once I've built that part of my block wall with my mixed up colors, and I was mixing up the colors on the palette as I went with my sponge brush just to give it like a mottled effect, like maybe there's some lichen growing on the wall. This is an outside wall in a garden. So then I cleaned off the squares because there's 3 squares on the stamp, and now I'm only putting paint on one, and I'm building a little archway that's kind of like a trellis type situation using my blocks. I guess these would be like hand hewn blocks made of, some hard substance like granite or something that you would see in an old garden. I certainly don't have anything like that in my garden. So remember, clean off the acrylic paint off your stamps right away. I just used a baby wipe to clean it. And now I think I'm going to dry it. Pretty sure I'm going to dry it. Oh no. Yeah, when you're using a wood-mounted stamp in a journal, because there's that curved area and split in the middle, it's hard to stamp there. So I'm just going in with a flat brush and filling in spots that were left to make it all uniform. And now I have some white gesso, and I'm going to get a little bit of teal craft paint. The background, the reason that I chose this background is because I'm planning on making a vining flower, and those swirly things looked to me kind of like vines. And then also it had blues and greens, which is what you'd see in a garden, with a little bit of purple, which might be the flowers. So that's the reason that I chose this print today. But it's still too busy, so I'm taking my 2-inch brayer and just grunging it up, just adding a little bit of more solid over the top so that it looks more monochromatic and uniform. And I always put that brayer in my little bucket of water over there that you guys can't see, just to, as much as I use it, it would be so like thick with paint that it would probably create a pattern on its own. Okay, so I've dried it off. I made sure it was really, really dry because I'm going to start in with pins, and I don't want acrylic paint to get on the nibs of my pins because that ruins them. And I'm trying to decide what color to use. And at first I think gray because they're gray, and then I think, well, maybe black, and then I think, well, maybe brown, and so I end up with brown. And these are my medium tipped Posca paint pins that come in a set of 12. So I'm using the brown. Once you've committed to a color, you're committed. You're going to need to use that all the way through, or else wipe it off or something. So I do all the blocks in brown, and I'm not being fussy. I'm going around really quickly, just to give them a little bit of definition on the edge. And I decided I don't like the brown, so I'm going to add the gray. So I go over all of them with the gray. And then at the end, after I've done all my doodling, I decide that they need black, and I go over them a third time. This is my fine tip black Posca pen. I'm going to use both the fine and the medium tip at different points. And I'm drawing in my design, and it's got, I'm using that swirly thing that's from a stencil that's on the print to guide me, because it's so dominant on the page that if I didn't use it, it would be like, why is that there? So I'm using it to be my swirly vines that are going up and over the arch and around the wall. And then at the ends, I'm putting different types of flowers. And I am just literally doodling. I have no plan. I have no pattern or anything. I'm just looking at what I see on the page and then going with it. And I think that's what Zen doodling is. It's supposed to be relaxing, and you're just doodling and drawing and making patterns, and it relaxes you and makes you more calm. I believe that's what it is, but I can't say for sure because I haven't taken a class. So after I make my vines and flowers, then I go and make some leaves to fill in the spaces because it looked pretty naked. Gotta have leaves. So I'm putting them all over the place. And then what do I do next? Oh, I start adding some kind of like little swirlies. I'm just filling in the space because it's, it needs to be kind of filled in. I did add another flower because there was 4, and the eye likes to see odd numbers. So I threw in another one. So then once I had my basic pattern drawn, then I want these things to be able to stand out, and they're dull against the background. So I'm using Decoarts Media Fluid Acrylic and a small brush, and I'm just painting over it in white. Just painting over the whole design in white. And I think that makes it stand out and be different from the background, which is all, kind of mottled teal. Didn't think you needed to watch that whole thing, so I cut it out. And through the magic of the internet, it is now done. Just like the cooking shows. Again, drying that to make sure it's very, very dry before I start doodling again, because I do not want to ruin my pens. So now I have my medium tip, and this gives a thicker line, and I'm using it to go over the details again and then to draw in additional patterns and designs within each form. Sometimes they're zigzags, sometimes they're stripes, sometimes they're dots. I do some that are like scallops, different things like that. I used to do this when I was in, I guess probably high school. On my notebooks, I used to sit there and draw patterns on my notebooks. I actually can focus better if my hands are doing something that's kind of disconnected from my mind. I can listen to something and retain it if I'm drawing. I'm not sure if everyone's like that, but my notebooks were all covered with doodling. Some of it's silly, like hearts with people's names written inside, but some of it was just exactly like this, just making lines and patterns. It'd be kind of fun to still have those, but I guess that would be considered hoarding. Making the vines kind of a checkered pattern, I think that's very striking. I like the look of that kind of checkerboard. That's probably my favorite thing on here. If it was just 2 lines and nothing in between, the swirls of the vines and the directionality and movement wouldn't be there. They needed to have more punch. And so the checkerboard really does that for them. I like it. All my flowers are different. You'd never see a plant like this. Or if you did, it would be very interesting. My leaves will end up being different too. Most of them have the kind of stripy things on one side, but some of them had on both sides. Some of them have plaid. Some of them have scallops. I just did all kinds of different things. I hope nobody leaves me a comment and tells me this is absolutely not Zen doodling and I don't know what I'm talking about. Because I've already admitted I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? I'm a little bit hesitant. I don't know. That leaf has polka dots. Maybe a caterpillar was eating it. I don't know. And this, of course, is speeded up probably at this point 8 times fast. There's no way that I could possibly doodle that fast. But I'm just trying to give you the idea of what I did without actually making you watch it in real time. This page took me 1 hour and 7 minutes according to my footage, which is actually not that bad considering how much detailing there is. I thought there needed to be something there at the bottom crawling up the little wall, so I put in a couple little line plants. And I didn't put the white on them, so they blend in quite a bit. Just seemed like there needed to be something, I don't know. More checkerboard vines and zigzag vines. This was fun. I'll probably do this more. I've just never really gotten into it, but I had a good time doing it. Here you see I'm going over those blocks again one more time, this time with the black. I just should have just went with the black to begin with. I thought it would be very harsh, and so I was trying to go with the more soft color, more subtle, but it ended up being black in the end, so I should have just done that in the first place. Okay, now I decide this page is very black and white, and it needs to have some color. And of course, I'm a mixed media artist. I'm not going to say that you can't use watercolor with acrylic, with paint pens, with whatever. You can mix it all up. The only thing I don't ever use is oil, and that's because I don't like the smell of the solvents and things. But other than that, it's all free game. Anything that you can glue down or color with or any medium, I'm happy. The more the merrier. So these are the Dr. P.H. Martin's liquid watercolors. They're very, very intense color in a liquid form, and you saw they just had droppers, and I just dropped some into a palette. You can drop them right onto the page. You can let them drip and splatter and things. They're fun. And one of my friends got them for me, and I really like them. I have a couple different types of watercolors. My other ones are all cake type, and these just, they're fluid already, so it makes them easy to just go. So I'm just adding different colors in different places on my doodle, trying to add a little bit of color to the page so that it's not all black and white and gray with a little bit of teal. And that's just a small watercolor brush. It's no big deal. Nothing fancy. I've got orange and yellow and green and purple and what I thought was teal but ended up being more blue, so I just mixed it with a little bit of the green to make it teal. I think I also have some rose color. I'm not sure. That might be what I'm putting on now. Pretty fun. Of course, these watercolors would be a lot more bright if you put them on white paper. They really are very intense. Now I added some splatters. Gotta have splatters with my medium white Posca. And then I'm just putting a little bit of white on in some places for a highlight. And that's about it. I believe it's done. I hope you enjoyed it. Here's the close-ups. Gives you an idea of what it really looks like. And if you want to, you can like or subscribe or comment or share or do whatever you want to do. And that's it.